If you're someone who's trying to understand, who's trying to learn how to actually make sales, how to create an offer that actually grabs attention from people, I think these would be very valuable for you. You learn about the psychology of why people actually buy stuff, and you also learn about how to create amazing offers that will hook anyone and make them want to buy your products. This is a video for you, so I hope you really enjoy it, and I hope you're able to get some value from this. Enjoy. So most people who try to price their products, they end up trying to find what their competitors are doing, and then they use that price and try to put their own price in and around that figure. And to be honest, that is what I did when I started out. But after reading this book by Alex Hormozi, I found out that that isn't really the best way to do it. And I think based on what I've learned from this book, I'll be able to teach you how you can also make your offer so ridiculously good that your leads or prospect actually feel stupid saying no to it. My name is Michelangelo, and I am building an automation business from my bedroom in the UK, and I really hope that whatever I say in this video is of some importance and value to you. So the book is called The $100 Million Offers, and it was written by Alex Hormozi, and the core idea of the book is very, very simple, but it completely reframes how you think about selling anything, and I mean anything. So most people think that if nobody's buying something or buying the product, the problem is the price. But that isn't really the truth. And they end up just lowering the price to try and match whatever demand they cannot find. And that doesn't work, because if you lower your price, then also, without thinking, lowering the quality of your product, which doesn't really help you. And most people also think that the reason why they're not selling anything is because they don't have enough people who know about their product or know about who they are. So what do? They run ads. Yeah, I did that as well. I did that as well. And trust me, it doesn't work at all. So Alex did mention in the book that if you try to do any of those two things, so lowering your price or running ads, you're still not going to be able to sell your product, because the problem isn't really those two things. It's about the offer itself. So he calls the actual scheme a grand slam offer, which is an offer where the value is so ridiculously clear, like it is so obvious and it's so compelling that your prospect will actually feel stupid saying no to that offer. And it's not because you have done any kind of magic, you haven't manipulated them. It's just because you genuinely communicated the value of your product so well that the decision becomes so obvious for them. He breaks that offer down into 4 key things. So 1, the dream outcome. So what does the person actually want at the end of using your product? 2, the perceived likelihood of achievement. So how confident are they that you can actually deliver it? 3, the time delay. How long before they see results using your product? And 4, effort and sacrifice. So how hard is it going to be for them to get to that dream outcome? The higher the dream outcome and likelihood of success, and the lower the time delay and effort required, the more valuable your offer feels. So that is the framework he proposed in that book. And once I understood how that worked, I couldn't unsee it, and I couldn't help myself but use it in my own pricing model. So for some context on what I am building, it's called the Book Job System, and is a done-for-you inquiry automation service for small cleaning companies. So what I do is I go in, I build a system, and then they stop losing leads that may have been lost because of them actually being on job and not being able to pick up the phone, or any emails that they may have missed because they were busy. Now, before I read the book, my pitch for that product was basically this. I build automation systems for cleaning companies. It costs this amount, and do you want one? That isn't really an offer, okay? That's more of a transaction. So what I was telling them is, if you pay this, you get this. And the truth is, nobody gets excited about a transaction, because if it doesn't seem like there's any value from it, why would they pay for it? So after reading the book, I went back and I rebuilt my entire pitch and offer and framework around it. So first, using those 4 key ideas, so the dream outcome, the perceived likelihood of achievement, time delay, and effort and sacrifice, I was able to then narrow it down and rebuild my offer. So it goes like this. So first, the dream outcome. Cleaning company owners do not actually want automation. Like, they do not want AI. They do not want any new software. They just want to be able to get clients without losing them because they're busy. So that is what my dream outcome is based on. It's not based on what the product is. It's about them not losing any clients or losing money because they've lost a client due to them being busy or not being able to get back to them on time. So that is the dream outcome. The dream outcome is to not lose any new clients or new customers. Secondly, the perceived likelihood of achievement. Because I don't have any case studies, I don't have any testimonials, they don't really have a reason to trust me yet. And also because I'm very young as well, they may not see me as someone who has enough skin in the game. So I had to reduce the risk on their side as much as possible, which is why I broke down my pricing into 3 tiers. So the first tier is 1 to 3 installs, which is priced at around £249. From installs 4 to install 7 is priced at £399. And from install 8 to install 10 is priced at £699. Now I know you're thinking, why such a jump? That's because the value that I'm going to communicate to them is so clear that when they see that, they're going to see why it is priced at this amount and why that jump is in place. So there are also 2 things he mentioned in the book that I may not cover in this video. I might make it in a different video. It's called urgency and scarcity. So I might discuss more on them in a different video so I don't waste too much time talking about them here. But that's why I have mine in 3 different tiers. And that's why the pricing seems low enough that they could consider it, and also high enough that they could see it as, oh, if I do this, I'm actually making an investment into doing it. So how I also reduce the risk as well is I made it a guarantee where that they're only going to pay deposits of half the price. So for £249, they'll pay £125 as a deposit at the start. And then once I get everything I need from them to start making the system, if I don't deliver it in under 7 working days, they get a refund of the entire money back and I do not install it for them. But if I do install it under 7 days and it's working as it should, they then pay the remaining part of that money at a later date. So it reduces the risk of them paying too much upfront and also makes it seem like it's low enough for them to actually consider it and find the value of using this system. Now the third thing was a time delay. So I deliver it in 7 working days. So the problem with most software companies is that they take a long time to onboard and then to actually install the product. So that's why I made my 7 working days, because 1, I feel I can actually do or install the service within that time frame, and also it also alleviates any risk on their side, thinking that it might be too long for them to get that product done and it might waste too much time actually trying to get it up and running. And then 4th, the effort and sacrifice, because it's completely done for you, because I'm doing it myself, I'm installing it myself. They don't really have to learn anything about software, about any technical setup. They're not really even doing much. They're just watching me build it, and then after it's built, I send it to them, and then I handle everything on my end. Now, I also have a plan at the end, so if they do want to be do it yourself, so they want to install it themselves, I can also assist them to do that and make a video for them to install it themselves, and they can run it on their own in-house structure. However, they will have to pay more for that because, again, since my service is a one-time offer, I'll be losing any value if I'm not hosting it on my side. Now, those are the 4 core offers that I built, but then I also have a bonus stack that I added to that core offer. So they have 3 bonuses that they get with the core offer. 1, they get a personalized video that walks through so they can understand what the system does, how it works, and how it's going to help them find and fix that problem that they're having. 2, they have 30 days of WhatsApp support, so they're never stuck. If they need something, they can just text me and I'll reply back to them and help them fix it. And 3, there's a 30-day check-in call, so I make sure that everything is working as it should. So these bonuses are held back and only introduced if the prospect pushes back on price or needs an extra reason to say yes. So that's why I have those bonus stack on top of the core offer. Now, in your offer page or summary, you should make it very clear the value of those offers. So how much each of them costs. The reason for that is when you're doing that, they can clearly see that those are actually valuable, and you offering it to them for free actually makes your core offer looks much more better than it typically would. That's why I made them 3, and those offers are there at those values. You have to make it so clear that they understand why you have brought your price to this amount. So it's called a grand slam offer because it actually makes every element of it look deliberate and intentional, so that your lead or prospect completely understands what the price is and why it is priced at that value and what value the product gives to them. You typically want to make the value be much higher than the price. If the price is much higher than the value, then trust me, they are not going to buy it. Doesn't matter how low you bring the price, they will not buy your product. Urgency is a pressure around time. So that means you need to act now or you're going to lose something. We see this a lot of times with a lot of stores, a lot of shops. They use urgency to kind of push a deadline, saying if you don't purchase this at this particular time, you're going to get it at a higher price or you may never see it again. Scarcity, on the other hand, is pressure based around availability. So that means the number of products left that you can get before it runs out. So let's dumb this down into an easier scenario. Let's take an ice cream man called Dan. Let's call him Dan. So Dan comes out with his ice cream truck at 4 p.m. And Dan puts a sign out on this ice cream truck saying, I'm going to close at 5 p.m. So what he's done is he's given everyone else who sees that sign a 1 hour window between 4 and 5 to come get their ice cream. And after 5, the ice cream is gone. So he's put a pressure around the time they have to come get the ice cream. Either they get it now or they cannot get it again till a different day or if it decides to come out again. So that is urgency because he's used it based on time. Now, let's say Dan, instead of using 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., he changed the sign to I've only got 10 ice cream left. So what Dan has done now is anyone who sees that sign knows that they can only get 10 ice cream now. So if anyone buys an ice cream, it goes down to 9, 8, 7, and Dan keeps decreasing the number on the sign all the way to it is all finished. And what that does is that anyone who sees the sign understands that if I don't get this now and someone else comes before me, they could end up getting the ice cream and I'm going to get nothing. So he's done it based on availability. So how many ice cream there are there to sell. Now, based on scarcity, we could say it is a play on supply. So that means you tell the customers how many you're willing to supply them and you see how the demand racks up. Now, why do they affect us so much? The reason is because the actual concept behind both urgency and scarcity has actually been researched by a psychologist named Daniel Kahneman. And his research said that losing 50 pounds feels worse than gaining 50 pounds feels good. What that means is, let's say we had 2 men. Let's say we had Jeff and Bezos. Yeah, sorry guys, I couldn't think of 2 names. Jeff and Bezos. So, Jeff just lost 50 pounds. He's heartbroken. He's sad. He's angry. Bezos just gained 50 pounds. He's happy. He's excited. However, although they're feeling contrasting emotions, so they're feeling opposite emotions, so Jeff feels angry that he lost 50 pounds and Bezos feels happy that he gained 50 pounds, he's actually found out that the study from what he's done, Jeff, who lost 50 pounds, has much more emotional pressure or feels more than Bezos, who's gained 50 pounds. Because for some reason, we are hardwired to feel more pain because we've lost something than to feel more happiness from gaining something. It's just a weird way humans work. Because our brain reacts harder than it would if you were just being offered something new. So you losing something actually feels more painful or feels more emotionally affecting than you gaining something. It's just the way humans work. Now, how does that play into urgency and scarcity? So most people have what we call FOMO. So fear of missing out. So when they see a price cut, let's say from something was being charged £100, now it's £50, because they've seen that there's a cut, they feel, oh, if I don't get this now, I might need this later. If I don't get it now, I might not get it again. So then they decide to go buy it. Or let's say we're moving into scarcity. If there are 3 things left, they might think, oh, why is there just 3 left? Does that mean other people have bought this already? Does that mean this is actually very valuable? And because of that, because they don't want to miss out on what that might be, they will end up just buying it anyway, even if it is useless to them. That's why so many of these stores, they put up different products that no people are not going to need, and they put a discount on it so that people might want to buy because they're afraid that they might miss out on it if they don't get it now. That's why most of them also put the stock price or stock number, so how many is left, so that people can then go into buying it out. So when they do see people buying it, then more people are going to actually try to buy it again, and the cycle just keeps going and going and going. So that is the psychology behind urgency and scarcity. So it makes the actual value look way more than it is, because they feel like they might miss out if they don't get it. And because people are also getting it, they feel that they should be getting it as well. So there's a huge push on social proof based on those 2 concepts. Okay, so I explained how Dan has used this for his ice cream shop. Now let me explain how I have used it for my own business. So I took that concept of urgency and scarcity to make my pricing model much more comprehensive and much more adaptable. So I turned my system, in case you don't know, I'm setting a system to help with inquiry handling to avoid any business owner from losing job because they're just busy. Or instead of them wasting time doing manual admin, I also help them to process that for them without them having to do anything much themselves. So for my pricing model, what I have done is I have set it up as 3 tiers. So I've got tier 1, 2, and 3. So what I have done with my tiers is I have introduced both urgency and scarcity in this way. So tier 1 is only for installs 1 to installs 3. So that is a finite number, it's a limited number of people who can be in that tier. So what have I used? I'll give you a second to think. What do you think I've used? Is that urgency or scarcity? So I've made it just 1 to 3 installs. Give it a second. So if you thought urgency, you're wrong. It's actually scarcity. So because I've used a number, I've not used time. So I have installs 1 to 3. They are able to get it for free. But they will have to fulfill some other demands like posting on socials or helping to market to other people or word of mouth. But for installs 1 to 3, it's completely free for them. They don't have to pay for it. Now, that's tier 1. Tier 2 is from installs 4 to install 7. So between installs 4 and 7, I will now introduce a price which is at £399 as a one-off fee. And then installs 8 to installs 10 is now bumped up to £699 for a one-off fee. The reason why I've done that is, again, for me, the value of this product is actually way more than £699. However, I feel that most cleaning companies, small-time businesses, wouldn't be able to afford a higher value. So I have brought it down to £699 to make it much more friendly for them. The reason why I brought it down to £399 as well is to make it feel more satisfiable for them. I don't know if that's a word, but just roll with it. So I brought down to that price because there are also some things they will need to do in that bracket, because right now, installs 1 to install 7 or install 10 is just a tester, because my plan is to turn into a SaaS later on. However, at this start, you're trying to see how much I can go with those pricing and whether I think the pricing should fall under. So installs 1 to 3 is free, so there's no price. However, that has to fulfill some demands or requirements. Installs 4 to 7 is $399, which is a base price. And installs 8 to 10 is $699. So what have I done there? I have used scarcity to make it a limited number of slots on installs that can be done for a particular price. I didn't use urgency there because I didn't really apply any time-based constraints. So there's no urgency being played into that pricing model, but scarcity is the major concept I've used in that. If I was to use urgency, what I could have done is I could have said, let's say by the end of June, so maybe in the summertime, that the price will go from $3.99 to $2.99. And after that, it goes back to $2.99. And for tiers 3, so installs 8 to 10, I could say I'll bring it down to $4.99, but then after summer break, it goes back to $6.99. So that's how I could have used urgency. So before I go on, actually, in your own mind or your own business, have a think. How could you introduce urgency and scarcity into your products? If you're selling something like weight loss coaching, you could just make it based on if anyone applies to this within this time window, then they get it for free. If not, they have to pay this amount. Or you can make it a discount. There's so many ways you can implement these two things into your business or products. If you're selling actual physical products, like let's say you're selling sweets, you could say that these sweets will be 99p for the next 3 weeks because they're testing out a new flavor or whatever it is. But then after these 3 weeks, it's going back to $4.99. So that's, you've used urgency. So people who see that will think, oh, it's cheaper now, so I might as well get it now, even if they wouldn't want to buy it anyway before. And for scarcity, like I've used, instead of using slots or installs, if you sell something physical, you could say for the first 10 or 100 purchases of our sweets, you will get it at this price, or you get it for free. So that's bringing the amount of people that can get it down to 100, and then after that, everyone else has to pay this price to get it. So that's using scarcity to show that you can only get it if you're part of the first 100 people. So go ahead, have a think. How will these two things actually play out in your own business of choice? And also write down in the comments on how it's going to play in your business so that I can give you some tips as well if I think there's a way to make it sound even better. So we've looked at what urgency and scarcity means. We've looked at the psychology, and we've looked at how I use it in my own business. Now, where do you actually cross the line? As most of us know, we should never be dishonest about what we're selling and how we plan to sell it. If you use urgency and scarcity to make things or to fabricate a value or price for your products, trust me, when things go sideways, they will find out. So what I mean is, if let's say you have unlimited amount of product that you can sell to people, but because they want to use scarcity, you say, I can only sell 3 to get the first 3 customers to come buy it. If you do that and then you sell more after it, trust me, those first 3 who bought it will find out. And once they do, you've lost their trust. And you end up telling other people about it, you've also lost their trust as well. So never fabricate or try to push that urgency scarcity into your product if you really don't actually need it. So if you don't really have your product as a scarce product or is not limited, don't try to push limitations on it. If it's not really based on the time constraints, you don't have to push it into it. Again, these two things are strategies that you can use to make your offer better. However, you shouldn't try to fabricate stories just to sell. Because if you do that, you're going to lose trust in your customers and they're going to lose trust in you. And you can't sell things to them anymore once they find out. So never cross that line. Never try to manipulate them into buying something. You have to make it as natural as possible into your business model. And you have to follow through if you plan to use it. So if you plan to do only 3 installs or 7 installs or 10 installs, or you plan to only sell 100 of these or 20 of these, you have to make sure you follow through. And if you are changing your mind, you have to let those who bought it originally know why you have done so and make it compelling so that they do not feel you cheated them out of something. So that is where you do cross the line when using these two concepts. And you should try to avoid them at all costs. So don't make a lie about your offer. Try to make it as natural as possible. And if you are actually doing this and you're trying to implement this into your offer, again, comment down what your service or product actually is. You don't have to explain what it is completely. So in case, again, you don't want it to get stolen, but you can just give an idea of what you're trying to sell and we can figure out how to put these two concepts into it while making it sound natural and not artificial. At the same time, when using scarcity and urgency, you want to make the customer aware that these things are limited. Like, for example, subscribing to the video. You got it there? Yeah? No? Subscribe anyway. Because I'll be posting a lot of videos here about different kind of concepts, how I'm doing this for my business, how things are going so far. And if you're just interested, you want to see how things go, you want to use them as a source of motivation, or you want to just see someone be consistent on these kind of topics, hit that notification bell, hit the like button, subscribe, and let's make some bread. If you enjoyed this video and you found these helpful, make sure to subscribe and like the video, and also share it to someone who you think might need this info, who can use it to make their offers better. If you have any ideas or opinions, or again, you want me to kind of look at how to make your offer better using scarcity and urgency, drop a comment and I'll respond as soon as I can. I tend to respond immediately, or at least a few hours after if I do see it. So just drop a comment, let me know what you think. Let me know if there are any more topics I should cover as well that may be relevant to you, or anything in general. Let's say your wins, your losses, what you do for your business. Let me know. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. Signing off.